And the chapter is Arya. Her father had been fighting with the council again. Arya could see it in his face when he came to the table, late again, as he had been so often. The first course, a thick, sweet soup made with pumpkins, had already been taken away when Ned Stark strode into the small hall. They called it that to set it apart from the great hall, where the king could feast 1,000. But it was a long room with a high vaulted ceiling and bench space for 200 uh, at least at its trestle tables. My lord, Joey said when father entered. He rose to his feet, and the rest of the guard rose with him. Each man wore a new cloak, heavy grey wool, uh, with a white satin border. A hand of beaten silver clutched the wooden folds of each cloak and marked their wearers as men of the hands, household guard. There was only 50 of them, so most of the benches were empty. Be seated, Eddard Stark said. I see you've started without me. I am pleased to know that there are still some men with sense in this city. He signalled for the meal to resume. The servants began bringing out platters of ribs, roasted in a crust of garlic and herbs. The talk in the yard is that we shall have a tourney, my lord, Jory said as he resumed his seat. They say that knights will come from all over the realm to joust and feast in the honour of your appointment as Hand of the King. Arya could see her father was not happy about that. Do they say this is the last thing in the world I would have wished? Sansa's eyes had grown wide as the plates. A tourney, she breathed. She was seated between Septimordian and Jenny Poole, as far from Arya as she could get without drawing reproach from her father. Will we be permitted to go, father? You know my feelings, Sansa. It seems I must arrange Robert's games and pretend to be honoured for his sake. That does not mean I must subject my daughters to this folly. Oh, please, Sansa said. I want to see. Septimordian spoke up. Princess Myrcella will be there, my lord, and and her young and her younger than Lady Sansa. Oh, that's the line. And her younger than Lady Sansa. All the ladies of the court will be expected at a grand event like this, and as the tourney is in your honour, it would look queer if your family did not attend. Father looked pained. I suppose so. Very well, I shall arrange a place for you, Sansa. He saw Arya. For both of you. I don't care about their stupid tourney, Arya said. She knew Prince Joffrey would be there, and she hated Prince Joffrey. Sansa lifted her head. It will be a splendid event. You shan't be wanted. Anger flashed across father's face. Enough, Sansa. More of that, and you will change my mind. I am weary unto death of these endless wars, of you two fighting. You're sisters. I expect you to behave like sisters. Is that understood? Sansa bit her lip and nodded. Arya lowered her face to stare sullenly at her plate. She could feel tears stinging her eyes. She rubbed them away angrily, determined not to cry. The only sound was the clatter of knives and forks. Pray excuse me, her father announced to the table. I find I have small appetite tonight. He walked from the hall. After he was gone, Sansa exchanged excited whispers with Jenny Poole. Down the table, Joy laughed at a joke, and Helen uh, started in about horseflesh. Your horse now. Uh, he may not be the best one for the joust. Uh, Not the same thing. Oh no, not the same thing at all. The men had heard it all before. Desmond, Jax, and Helen's son, Harwin, shouted him down together, and Porthor called for more wine. No one talked to Arya. She didn't care. She liked it that way. She would have eaten her meals alone, in her bedchamber if they'd let her. Sometimes they did. When father had to dine with the king, or some lord or envoys from the palace, the rest of the time they ate in his solar, just him and her and Sansa. That was when Arya missed her brothers most. She wanted to tease Bran and play with baby Rickon and have Robb smile at her. She wanted Jon to muss up her hair and call her little sister and finish her sentences with her. But all of them were gone, and she had no one left but Sansa, and Sansa wouldn't even talk to her unless father made her. Back at Winterfell, they'd eaten in the great hall, almost half the time. Her father used to say that a lord needed to eat with his men if he hoped to keep them. You know the men who follow you, she heard him tell Robb once, and you let them know you. Don't ask your men to die for a stranger. At Winterfell, he always had an extra seat at his own table, and every day a different man would be asked to join him. One night it would be Varan Poole, and the talk would be of coppers and bread stores and servants. The next it would be Mikan, and her father would listen to him go on about armour and swords, and how hot a forge could be, and the best way to temper steel. Another day it might be Holland, with his endless horse talk, or Septon uh, Charlie from the library, or Jory, or Sir Roderick, or even old Nan and her stories. Arya loved nothing better than to sit at her father's table and listen to them talk. She loved listening to the men on the benches too, the free riders tough as leather, courtly knights and bold young squires, grizzled old men at arms. She used to throw snowballs at them and help them steal pies from the kitchen. Their wives gave her scones, and she invented names for their babies, and played monsters and maidens, and hide the treasure, and come to my castle with their children. Fat Tom used to call her Arya Underfoot, because he said that was where she always was. She'd like that a lot better than Arya Horseface. Only that was Winterfell, a world away, and now everything was changed. This was the first time that they had supped with the men since arriving in the King's Landing. Arya hated it. She hated the sounds of their voices now, the way they laughed, the stories they told. They'd been her friends. She had felt safe around them, but now she knew that was a lie. They let the Queen kill Lady. That was horrible enough. But then the Hound found Micah. Jenny Poole had told Arya that he'd cut him into so many pieces that they'd given him back to the butcher in a bag. At first the poor man had thought it was a pig they'd slaughtered, and no one even raised a voice, or draw a blade, or anything. Not Harwin, who always talked so bold, or Alan, who was going to be a knight, or Jory, who was the captain of the guard. Not even her father. He was my friend, Arya whispered to her plate, so low no one could hear. Her ribs sat there untouched, grown cold now, a thin film of grease congealing beneath them on the plate. Arya looked at them and felt ill. She pushed them away from the table. Pray, where do you think you're going, young lady? Septimordian asked. I'm not hungry. Arya found it an effort to remember her courtesies. May I please be excused? She recited stiffly. You may not, the Septa said. You've scarcely touched your food. You will sit down and clean your plate. You clean it. Before anyone could stop her, Arya bolted from the door, as the men laughed and Septimordian loudly called after her, her voice raising higher and higher. Fat Tom was at his post, guarding the door to the Tower of the Hand. He blinked when he saw Arya rushing toward him, heard the Septa's shouts. Here now, little one, hold on, he started to say, reaching, but Arya slid between his legs, and then was running up the winding tower steps, her feet hammering on the stone while Fat Tom puffed after her. Her bedchamber was the only place Arya liked in all of King's Landing, and the thing she liked best about it was the door. A massive slab of dark oak with black iron bands. When she slammed that door and dropped the heavy crossbar, no one could get into her room. Not Septimordian, not Fat Tom, Sansa, or Jory, or the Hound. Nobody. She slammed it now. Then the bar was down. Arya finally felt safe enough to cry. She went to the window seat and sat there, sniffing, hating them all, and herself most of all. It was all her fault. Everything bad that had happened. Sansa said so, and Jenny too. Fat Tom was knocking on her door. "Arya, girl, what's wrong?" he called out. "Are you in there?" "No," she shouted. The knocking stopped. A moment later she heard him going away. Fat Tom was always easy to fool. Arya went to the chest at the foot of her bed. She knelt, opened the lid, and began pulling her clothes out with both hands, grabbing fistfuls of silk and satin and velvet and wool, tossing them on the floor. It was there at the bottom of the chest where she'd hidden it. Arya lifted it out, almost tenderly, and drew the slender blade from its sheath. Needle. She thought of Micah again, and her eyes filled with tears. Her fault, her fault, her fault. If she had never asked him to play at swords with her. There was a pounding on the door, louder than before. "Arya Stark, you open this door at once. Do you hear me?" Arya spun around, the needle in hand. "You better not come in here," she warned, slashing at the air savagely. "The Hand will hear of this," Septimordian raged. "I don't care," Sansa screamed. "Go away." "You will rue this insolent behaviour, young lady. I promise you that." Arya listened at the door until she heard the sound of the Septus' receding footsteps. She went back to the window, needle in hand, and looked down to the courtyard below. If only she could climb like Bran, she thought. She could go out of the window and down the tower, run away from this horrible place, away from Sansa and Septimordian and Prince Joffrey and all of them, steal some food from the kitchens, take Needle and her good boots and a warm cloak. She'd find Nymeria in the woods below, the trident, and together they'd return to Winterfell or run to Jon on the wall. She found herself wishing that Jon was with her now. Then maybe she wouldn't feel so alone. A soft knock on the door behind her turned Arya away from the window and her dreams of escape. "Arya," her father called out, "open the door. We need to talk." Arya crossed the room and lifted the crossbar. Father was alone. He seemed more sad than angry. That made Arya feel even worse. "May I come in?" Arya nodded, then dropped her eyes, ashamed. Father closed the door. "Whose sword is that?" "Mine." Arya had almost forgotten Needle was in her hand. "Give it to me." Reluctantly, Arya surrendered her sword, wondering if she would ever hold it again. Her father turned it in the light, examining both sides of the blade, tested the point with his thumb. "A bravo's blade," he said. "Yet it seems that I know the maker's mark. This is Mikan's work." Arya could not lie to him. She lowered her eyes. Eddard Stark sighed. "My 9-year-old daughter is being armed from my own forge, and I know nothing of it. The hand of the king is expected to rule the 7 kingdoms, yet it seems I cannot rule my own household. How is it you come to own a sword, Arya? Where did you get this?" Arya chewed her lip and said nothing. She would not betray Jon, even to her father. After a while, father said, "I don't suppose it matters, truly." He looked down gravely at the sword in his hands. "This is no toy for children, least of all for a girl. What would Septimordian say if she knew you were playing with swords?" "I wasn't playing." Arya insisted. I hate Septimordian. That's enough. Her father's voice was curt and hard. The Septa was doing nothing more than her duty, though the gods know why you've made it a struggle for the poor woman. Your mother and I have charged her with this impossible task of making you a lady. I don't want to be a lady, Arya flared. I ought to snap this toy across my knee, right here and now, and put an end to this nonsense. Needle wouldn't break, Arya said defiantly, but her voice betrayed her words. It has a name, does it? Her father sighed. Ah, Arya, you've a wildness in you, child. The wolf's blood, my father used to call it. Lyanna had a touch of it, and my brother Brandon had more than a touch, and brought them both to an early grave. Arya heard sadness in his voice. He did not often speak of his father, or his brother or sister, who had died before she was born. Lyanna might have carried a sword if my lord father had allowed it. He reminded me of her sometimes. You even look like her. Lyanna was beautiful, Arya said, startled. Everyone said so. It was not a thing that was ever said of Arya. She was, Eddard Stark agreed, beautiful and wilful and dead before her time. He lifted the sword, held it out between them. Arya, what did you think to do with this needle? Who did you hope to skewer? Your sister? Septimordian? Do you know the first thing about sword fighting? All she could think of was the lesson John had given her. Stick them with the pointy end, she blurted out. Her father snorted back laughter. That is the essence of it, I suppose. I desperately wanted to explain, to make him see. I was trying to learn, but her eyes filled with tears. I asked Micah to practice with me. The grief came on her all at once. She turned away, shaking. I asked him, she cried. It's my fault. It was me. Suddenly her father's arms were around her. He held her gently as she turned to him and sobbed against his chest. No, sweet one, he murmured. Grieve for your friend, but never blame yourself. You did not kill the butcher's boy. That murder lies at the hound's door. Him and that cruel woman he serves. I hate them, Arya confessed, red-faced, sniffling. The hound and the queen and the king and Prince Joffrey. I hate all of them. Joffrey lied. It wasn't the way he said. I hate Sansa too. She did remember. She just lied so Joffrey would like her. We all lie, her father said. Or did you truly think I'd believe that Nymeria ran off? Arya blushed guiltily. Joy promised not to tell. Joy kept his word, her father said with a smile. There are some things I do not need to be told. Even a blind man could see that a wolf would never have left you willingly. We had to throw rocks, she said miserably. I told her to run, to go and be free, that I didn't want her any more. There were two wolves for her. Uh, there were two other wolves for her to play with. We heard them howling, and Joy said the woods were full of game, and she'd have deer to hunt. Only she kept following, and finally we had to throw rocks. I hit her twice. She whined and looked at me. I felt so ashamed. But it was right, wasn't it? The Queen would have killed her. It was right, her father said, and the lie was not without honour. He put Needle aside and went to Arya to embrace her. Now he took the blade up again and walked to the window where he stood for a moment, looking out across the courtyard. When he turned back, his eyes were thoughtful. He seated himself on the window seat, Needle across his lap. Arya, sit down. I need to try to explain some things to you. She perched anxiously on the edge of her bed. You're too young to be burdened with all my cares, he told her, but you're also a Stark of Winterfell. You know our words. Winter is coming, Arya whispered. The hard, cruel times, her father said. We tasted them on the Trident, child, and when Bran fell. You were born in the long summer, sweet one. You've never known anything else. But now winter is truly coming. Remember the sigil of our house, Arya. The dire wolf, she said, thinking of Numira. She hugged her knees against her chest, suddenly afraid. Let me tell you something about wolves, child. When the snows fall and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Summer is the time for squabbles. In winter, we must protect one another to keep each other warm, share our strengths. So, if you must hate Arya, hate those who truly do us harm. Septa Mordane is a good woman, and Sansa is your sister. She may be difficult as the sun and moon, but the same blood flows through both of your hearts. You need her, she needs you, and I need you both. God's help me. He sounded so tired, and it made Arya sad. I don't hate Sansa, she told him. Not truly. It was only half a lie. I do not mean to frighten you, but neither will I lie to you. We have come to a dark, dangerous place, child. This is not Winterfell. We have enemies here who mean us ill. We cannot fight a war amongst ourselves. This wilfulness of yours, the running off, the angry words, the disobedience. At home, these were only summer games of a child. Here and now, with winter soon upon us, it is a different matter. It is time to begin growing up. I will, Arya vowed. She had never loved him so much as she did in that instant. I can be strong too. I can be as strong as Rob. He held Needle out to her, hilt first. Here. She looked at the sword with wonder in her eyes. For a moment she was afraid to touch it, afraid as if she would reach for it, it'd be snatched away again. But then her father said, Go on, it's yours. And she took it in her hand. I can keep it, she said. For true? For true? He smiled. If I took it away, no doubt I'd find a morning star hidden under your pillow within a fortnight. Try not to stab your sister, whatever the provocation. I won't, I promise. Arya clutched Needle tightly to her chest as her father took his leave. The next morning, as they broke their fast, she apologised to Septa Mordane and asked for her pardon. The Sept peered at her suspiciously, but father nodded. 3 days later, at midday, her father's steward, Beon Poole, sent Arya to the small hall. The trestle tables had been dismantled and the benches shoved against the walls. The hall seemed empty until a familiar voice said, You're late, boy. A slight man with a bald head and a great beak of a nose stepped out of the shadows, holding a pair of slender wooden swords. Tomorrow you will be here at midday. He had an accent, a lit of the free cities, Bravos perhaps, or Mur. Who are you? Arya asked. I'm your dancing master. He tossed her one of the wooden blades. She grabbed for it, missed, and heard it clatter to the floor. Tomorrow you will catch it. Now pick it up. It was not a stick, but a true wooden sword, complete with grip and guard and pommel. Arya picked it up and clutched it nervously in both hands, holding it out in front of her. It was heavier than it looked, much heavier than Needle. The bald man clicked his teeth together. That is not the way, boy. As not a great sword as needing 2 hands to swing it. You will take the blade in one hand. It's too heavy, Arya said. It is heavy as it needs to be to make you strong, and for the balancing. A hollow inside has been made with lead, just so. 1 hand now is all that is needing. Arya took her right hand off the grip and wiped her sweaty palm on her hands. She held the sword in her left hand. He seemed to approve. The left is good, all is reversed. It will make your enemies more awkward. Now you are standing wrong. Turn your body sideways. Yes, Yes, so. You're skinny as the shaft of a spear. Do you know? That is good too. The target is smaller. Now the grip. Let me see. He moved closer and peered at her hand, prying her fingers apart, rearranging them. Just so, yes. Do not squeeze it so tight. No, the grip must be deft, delicate. What if I drop it? Arya said. The steel must be part of your arm, the bald man told her. Can you drop part of your arm? No. 9 years Sirio Forel was the first sword, uh, to the Sea Lord of Bravos. He knows these things. Listen to him, boy. It was the third time he'd called her boy. I'm a girl, Arya objected. Boy, girl, Syria Forel said. You're a sword, that is all. He clicked his teeth together. Just so, that is the grip. You're now holding a battle axe. You're holding a needle. Arya finished for him fiercely. Just so. Now we begin the dance. Remember, child, this is not the iron dance of Westeros. We are learning the knight's dance. Hacking and hammering, no. This is the Bravos dance, the water dance, swift and sudden. All men are made of water. Do you know this? When you pierce them, the water leaks out and they die. He took a step back, uh, raising his own wooden blade. Now you will try to strike me. Arya tried to strike him, tried for 4 hours, until every muscle in her body was sore and aching, while Syrio Forel clicked his teeth together and told her what to do. The next day, the real work began. And that's the end of that chapter. Thank you for listening.